All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is Coach McCray from Godby High School in Tallahassee, Florida. I'm the head football coach. And today I'm going to speak on pass protection. Really going to talk about just kind of my philosophy in pass protection. And just kind of go through some of those things. And if you guys want to follow along and jot down some notes, hopefully it's something that you can use. Understanding, a lot of the stuff that, I think that we do special in coaching. It's one thing to be innovative, but a lot of times it's just listening to other great coaches and being a great listener and adding things to what you do as you go along throughout the years. But just to hop into it, and I'm going to more so just be speaking here. Not so much any PowerPoints, but I am going to show, really just one clip because it's kind of all the thing that I like to do with our pass protection or when I'm teaching pass protection is make things simple for the offensive lineman. As much you can make it simple. I know people say it and it's cliche, but we want them to have just kind of base knowledge for what they know and what they feel like they're supposed to do. Not do a whole lot of thinking, because to me, if you're thinking, you're probably not playing with the aggression that you need to play with. Although pass protection is a passive aggressive thing. But the first thing I'm going to talk about when it comes to our pass protection is a quick step. A lot of people, it's all a progression. To me, it starts with the feet. As far as offensive line play goes and run game and pass game, it starts with your feet. You take the proper steps, got to be efficient with what you do. So many people will focus on, hey, when do you make the guy run the hump, or when do do we punch out, or do we double punch, or we punch it with one hand? There's so much stuff taught in pass protection to kids, and we get these gurus on offensive line play and all of that kind of stuff. And people forget probably the biggest thing is having a quick, fast set. You have to. The key is you have to get ready. Before and even before we get into the actual set. It starts with your stance. All right. So I want to talk a little bit about stance for a second. With your stance, for me, for high school kids, I'm all about them being in the stance that's most efficient for them. One of the big things is, like, do you put your offensive lineman on the left side and they have to have their left hand down, or can they have their right hand down? One of the things that I learned from Coach Trickett that was at FSU was, I'm going to let a guy be in whatever stance he can move efficiently in, and so, you'll see on our film, like, if a guy can only be in a right-hand stance, I mean, if somebody wants to teach him at another level, if he goes to plays for somebody else, they want to teach him a different way to be in a stance, then that's their prerogative. But for me, I'm going to put him in whatever stance he can set fastest in and move efficiently in that stance. So that's what it starts with. And then when you move into the actual set, the goal is to get to your center of gravity before that guy or the defender that you're going against can get to you or can engage you. That's the number one thing with a quick set. I want to get in a position to where I'm ready for the battle. If you don't emphasize that with your linemen, if they're oozing, and that's what I call it, oozing out of their stance, or if they're slow to get out of their stance, whenever that defensive lineman get there, and I understand, there's some great D linemen out there. Those guys are taught a whole lot of stuff, all that hand motion and all that different stuff they do at practice every day to try to beat the offensive line. If you aren't ready and got your hips up under you and got your head back and ready to fight, the defensive lineman is at an advantage. And so that's why it's so important sit fast and get your center of gravity before the fight starts, so you're able to move efficiently and be where you be. The next thing with your sit, guys need to understand that most high school defensive linemen, they usually they have one move that I found just watching film, and a good defensive line coach to me really, they limit what guys do. They look at what their guys do best, and they're gonna focus on that. If a guy's good at long arming somebody, or if a guy's a speed rusher, if he's great using his hand and club and rip and all of that kind of stuff. The defense is going to find what their guys do the best, and that's going to be usually what they use. All right, so you got to understand, it's really a situation where most offensive linemen, they lose in pass protection because of something we do, not so much what the defense does against us. And so with that one move, and this is the thing about that, if the defensive lineman can't get you off balance, if he can't make me lunge, if he can't make me, haul butt back because he's giving me a good speed rush off the edge, or he beat me at the snap getting off the ball, if he can't get me to come out of my hips, he's probably not going to beat me, more than likely, all things equal. And, at that point, you turn him into a bull rusher, and a lot of times we're going to win if you turn it into that. As an offensive lineman, it's just there's not enough time, for them to get off and do anything. So moving from that point, all right, so that fast set is going to be a big thing. The next thing is your punch, all right? One thing about our pass protection with our punch, we aren't going to use two hands a whole lot of time. Most of the time in our pass protection, we're using one hand to do everything. When we're using two hands, it's usually because we've gotten a bull rush, and we got to stop that guy's momentum with both our hips and both our hands. So that'll probably be the only time that you'll see that in our pass protection. One of the things that we like to do also in our pass protection is something I got from Willie Anderson, who's doing some great things with offensive line play right now. It was a great play in the NFL. He talked about having low hands in his pass sets. All right, with low hands, to me, it helps the offensive linemen kind of move their center of gravity. When they got their hands up, like imagine, and so when I talk to my kids, when I'm teaching, I talk to them about, imagine if somebody told you to run a 40-yard dash with your hands in the air, all right? So, you don't have your arms propelling your body, but when you have those low hands in your pass set, now you can kind of propel your body, and it helps you keep a low center of gravity. You aren't lunging out. So we have our hands, when I say low, probably about a little bit higher than waist level, but we don't have them up at our chest like it's normally taught. And kind of people talk about looking through the W, and I've seen different ways, and not that that's wrong. Just my philosophy is that we're gonna have our hands kind of low, and the biggest thing for that is when that defensive lineman does make contact with me, I'm going to be able to bring my hands underneath. So he may, he's going to make contact, especially if he goes to bull rush me. I want to make sure I got leverage, or I got my hands underneath, so I can kind of stop that momentum. Also with the punch, the big thing about your punch is you have to show a defensive lineman that he needs to respect your punch, okay? If the defensive lineman doesn't respect your punch, he's going to have you off balance the rest of the game. You're going to be a play behind if the defensive lineman doesn't respect your punch. So that's the first thing I tell our kids when it gets to a punch, you have to make sure when you make contact with that guy, whenever that contact happens, however it happens, you have to make sure that he respects that he can't just run through. Because what happens is, and you see this all the time, if an offensive lineman gets bull rushed, he gets beat, if he, they make contact and his arms collapse and, the defensive lineman gets into his chest and beats him on the play, the next play, the first thing he's probably going to do is he's going to overextend. Okay. All right. And then when he overextends, that leads to a guy getting swimmed, a guy getting snatched and things like that. Okay. So then you get in a situation where, okay, I want to stop the defensive lineman from snatching me. I want to stop him from swimming me. Now I'm going to sit down more and not lunge out. Now the defensive lineman comes off the ball and you're sitting down and now he's speed rushing you off the edge, or, he gives you one of those speed to bull moves where he speed rushes and then turns it into a bull rush. And now you're sitting down too much and your weight's too low, and you end up getting bull rush because you're a play behind, because you're trying to stop what he did initially. So that's why it's a huge thing for us to show in our punch that, we can withstand the force. The main thing is, you got that guy coming off the ball at you. You got to make sure you make that guy try to work one half. You got to make that guy feel like, I'm not going to just run down the middle of this guy. I got to do something to beat him. All right. When he gets you in the mind frame of you can't stop me from running down the middle of you, now he can work the edges and have you off balance. All right. So we talk a lot to our kids about just having that violent punch and that pass protection. One last thing with the, when we punch, what we tell our guys is, when you punch, when you put your hands on somebody in pass protection, you need to grab. All right. And I know a lot of guys are going to, say, oh, well, they teach holding. We do. All right. And to me, it's only holding if that guy gets away from me, if that guy gets outside the framework of my body. So my lineman, if you ever do see them get two hands on a guy, if you punch and you get two hands, if you land your punch, you get your mark or you get your hands on the defensive lineman, we're going to grab you. We're going to make sure that, we understand we play offensive line for a reason. You play defensive line for a reason. We understand if all things are equal, if we get into a foot race, that's probably going to have the advantage on us. So we're going to get a little bit of advantage by, staying in close. And when we punch, we're going to grab, and I mean, not just kind of hold on. I mean, grab and keep that guy in place if you can. That's the goal. You get your hands inside and keep that guy in place. That's the battle right there. It's over if he can't get off you. Now, if he goes to get off you, the big thing is moving your feet now. You got to activate your feet, or even if you have to recoil your hands, tell our kids you can't lunge. You can't let that defensive lineman get your center of gravity outside of the framework of your body. So you need to make sure if you feel like you're losing that guy or he's getting off you somewhere, you got to move your feet first. He may end up getting into your chest, but the main thing is keeping your body in front of that quarterback. You got to get back square. You got to move your feet and get back in position, not, oh, let me bring him back to where I am. Okay. And so you got to watch that in your pass protection. All right. The next thing I'm going to talk about is our 4-second mentality. And I think this is something that's gave us so much success, especially with young offensive linemen, or even a lineman that, you may get a guy that's, prototype, size and things like that. They just don't understand the technique of offensive line play. And we call it the 4-second rule. Okay. So in the 4-second rule, and a lot of people probably talk about this all the time. Hey, the pass, the quarterback's got 4 seconds to get the ball off. Well, from our standpoint, it's not so much when the ball's going to get off, and I'm going to talk about that. But it's more so we tell our offensive linemen, listen, when the ball is snapped, when the center moves the ball, that defensive lineman has 4 seconds to try to beat you. If you really look at it, and you can go back and watch your film, the teams that you play against, and there's going to be some teams that they do get off the ball fast and some teams that don't. But for the most part, most high school defensive linemen, it takes them about 2 seconds. If they aren't watching the ball, or if they're going off the snap count and all this kind of stuff, some of them are really good at this, but for the most part, it takes most high school defensive linemen about 2 seconds to get into the framework of the offensive lineman, to get to a point where they're ready to make a move, where they're ready to swim, or they're ready to make that speed rush and bend the corner, a bull rush or snatch or whatever they're trying to do to the offensive lineman. It takes a good 2 seconds for them to even get to that point to where they're going to be able to try to use whatever move they have against us. All right. So when we tell our linemen, so it's going to take them 2 seconds to even get to that point. All right. So in the 4-second rule, now there's only 2 more seconds for them to make whatever move they're going to make or do whatever they're going to do. Okay. And then get to the quarterback, because they still got to finish the play. They still got to make a sack. There's so many times that, this happens all the time in practice where, the defense will yell out, sack, and it's like, well, I mean, you beat the offensive lineman, but the ball been gone. Like, the ball was gone while you were winning, snatching our guy. That doesn't mean you made a sack just because your move worked. All right, so you got to understand in that 4 seconds. So for our offensive lineman, we tell them, hey, you got 2 more seconds to just not lose. Like, yeah, we want them to win. We want them to, be, these Tony Baselli type offensive linemen. We want them to show great technique and all that kind of stuff. But for those 2 seconds, and that's the biggest thing, when we tell our guys, hey, all you got to do is be tough. You got to keep your hips low. You got to move your feet, all the different things that you teach within the technique of playing offensive line and pass protection. We tell them all of that stuff and we go through all of that, but we break it down to the simplest form of, you got literally about 2 seconds. All right? If that guy can't beat you with whatever he wants to do against you in 2 seconds, he's not going to make a sack. It's just not going to happen unless the quarterback holds the ball. All right. And so we talk about that as well. All right. So with that 2 seconds, so at the end of each play, so we tell them about the 4-second rule, but we also tell them at the end of the play. So when we're watching film, we'll stop the play. When the ball is released, we'll stop the film. And we'll ask our guys, okay, look at everybody, where they are right now. If the quarterback held on to the ball, would you have given up a sack? And I'm telling you right now, if you watch film with your lineman, if you watch your pass pro, and and we do this in practice, and then when we go back and review our game film, when we stop the film, when the ball's leaving the quarterback hand, we stop the film. We want to see that our linemen are either in position or fighting to get back into a position where they're square on their man. All right. And so that's helped us so much, because our key is now in their mind. Everybody yells out, finish the play. But, to me, that kind of tells the guy, okay, finishing the play means, the quarterback held onto the ball, or if he needs more than that 4 seconds, am I in position to keep my guy from making a sack? Or am I watching the defensive lineman run around the pocket and things like that? All right. All right. Now I'm going to talk about just a few things that you can do to scheme to help your offensive lineman. Probably the number one thing, a lot of you guys probably already do this out there, is tighten your splits. And it seems simple, but I like for my guys to understand the little tricks that you can do to help yourself as linemen. You know, and we'll see it when we do one-on-one pass rush. Like, let's say, you know, guys splits, you know, and that takes some teaching. You know, getting a line um, that is mature enough to understand when splits need to differentiate and things like that. But you'll see in our pass pro, or like when we do one-on-one pass rush, my linemen, you know, because they're thinking, all right, I'm gonna get help from other guys, or you know, I don't want to put myself out in space with a great edge rusher. I want to kind of stay on my vertical plane or whatever. You'll see our guys get these extremely tight splits, like more tight than we would normally get in the game. And so I'll have to adjust them. But I like the fact that they're thinking with the mindset of, hey, we got to tighten our splits. Like, that's something that's going to help us. When you get your guys doing little things that you talked about in the meeting to help them win, that lets you know they understand what's in their arsenal, what things they need to go to defeat certain situations. And that's what I want them thinking. So tightening your splits is always a big thing. One of the things that we did this past year, and I've coached offensive lines that have had we've had to go against both of the Bosa brothers that are dominating in the NFL right now. I've coached offensive line that had to go against Tyler Davis, who's playing for Clemson right now, dominant defensive lineman, and several other great defensive linemen throughout my career. But sometimes you have to do, like, you can teach all the technique you want, you can do all this different stuff, but sometimes that defensive lineman is just so good, and you know, he may be, you know, just a better player than the guy that you have. And so you have to do some things as a coach to kind of help that guy out. And one of the things that we did this past year is we switched from you know, a lot of teams do half slide, and you got teams that do full slides, and you got teams that do big on big or man blocking. If you can give your offensive line calls or situations to where they can switch that up, and that's what'll happen. Whatever our play side tackle is, he'll make calls or he'll do things to, let's say, you know, in our situation, I'll give it to you. Our situation was we had a 10th grader, first year playing, being out there on the field, you know, playing against a powerhouse school here in the state of Florida. And we knew that, you know, although this kid was going to progress and he's going to become something as an offensive lineman, we that it was going to be tough on us for him to spend the whole game trying to block the edge rush that they had. And so one of the things that we did was we would, you know, we had our half line call, our half line protection, meaning, you know, the play side is going to be man, and then the backside is going to be vertical setting or sliding. You know, what we would do is there'll be times where he's going to be man, so we'll half slide, and then there's times that we'll make a call, and now he's going full slide. And so we'll put him down on the 3 technique, or we'll let him slide down into the B gap and take a blitz and linebacker, and we'll let our running back, you know, and I know most people probably going to say, well, I don't want my small running back on this big defensive end. Well, we'll, you know, depending on what you got, you know, out there blocking as far as your backs, but we'll switch it up on the defensive end. So, you know, sometimes, you know, that tackle will be sliding away from him. Sometimes he'll be man on him. But I think that a big scheme advantage against some defensive ends is, you know, switch up who's going to block them. You know, just like people do with when they switch up in RPOs or switch up whether the fullback or the tackle's going to block the end or if that guy's going to arc. When you give that defensive end different looks in pass protection, it really will help out your lineman, I believe. The next thing is a great interior rusher. I was listening to or watching on Twitter the Hog Football Chat. They had a question about is it worse to go against a great edge rusher or a great interior lineman? To me, going against a great interior defensive lineman is tough because that person can, collapse the interior of the pocket, and that's all a tough thing. But to me, going against a great interior pass rush, the thing you want to do is slide to that guy. So if you do a half line slide or you do a full line slide, you want to set your slide to that great interior rusher because different people can end up blocking them. I would tell you 9 times out of 10, if you can keep one of your linemen from having to man block, their best defensive lineman, it always helps. It's similar to what people do with, having the back chip a great pass rusher on the edge, to try to slow them down. As far as if you got a great 3 technique or a 1 technique that's wreaking havoc, inside, if you can slide to him, it helps out your line a lot because you end up with a guy that can maybe help out if he doesn't get a blitz and things like that. So that's one of the things you want to look at. And I'm not even really going to play a play here, but just kind of show you the structure, and everybody, you see this stuff all the time. And this situation where we've got 2, 4 techniques or 5, whatever you want to call them, but 2 8 guys, and they got an interior, he's kind of a 1 technique, and then you got a 3 technique on the other side. When we one of the things we teach our centers, if we slide, all right, so let's say, we've got our pass protection call to where we're sliding to the left here. If, there's not an extra man that, blitzes or gives us pressure on that left side, we're going to end up with 3 guys blocking 2, okay? A lot of people, tell the center, hey, kind of help out on that A-gap. We tell our guard, you need to try to cross this guy's face with your set and make him make a counter move. The big thing about that is if you can turn this guy into a guy that's trying to, make a move to get to the quarterback, he's probably not going to be successful. There's some first round draft picks out there, that can make a move and go around and go to another gap and still get back there. But most high school defensive linemen, if you keep him from just running straight through this A gap, if you get over here and be aggressive with your set, and make him loop around, that 4-second rule comes into play, and he's probably going to use 3 of those 4 seconds trying to get over to this other gap to try to get upfield. So we want to, first of all, do that. But our center, when he's sliding over here, if nobody comes through that A gap, we teach our center, you need to get over here and help violently on that 3 technique. And what we mean by that is, we're going to get into his ribs, as much as we can in pass protection, making sure that there's not a late blitz or a loop coming around from outside or something like that. But if nobody comes from outside, that center's going to go over there and do something real violent to that 3 technique. And what that does is for the rest of the game, let's say this guy is pretty good. And when we get in a situation where we're sliding away from this guard now, and he's got to be man on that 3 technique, now he's looking for if the center's going to come inside. So what you end up doing is making that 3 technique kind of he's going to stay in that B gap. He's not going to try to get a 2-way go on that guard because he's worried about that center. But the thing is, I hate when I watch film and I see, our center, he's he's got a chance to go over here and get some on this 3 technique, and he just kind of sits there and watch the play. No, I want you to go over there and do something violent to put it in that guy's head that you don't know who may help out or you don't know what may happen in our pass protection. So it's going to make them kind of ease off the ball instead of just firing off at our guards. And so that's, one of the little things that we try to teach to help our linemen out. All right. The last thing I'll talk about here is, in this situation, I'm going to just kind of draw the tail back and, because we're in the empty set here. But we try to teach our tackles that if the running back's on your side and if he's inserting for a linebacker, he's got a dual read on that, we call our pass protection that way. If he's, responsible for this side, whatever side the running back's on, that tackle's got to understand, that defensive lineman is 9 times out of 10, he's not going inside because he's used to seeing that running back step up into this gap. So our offensive linemen need to understand that, hey, when I sit, I'm going to make sure I got a firm inside, but I'm going to anticipate this guy, jumping outside on me because that running back on your side, and that's just one of the things that we do, so we tell that tackle that so he understands what's most likely going to happen in that situation when he's got to run it back on his side. Now, when he's on the slide side, we also tell him, so let's go over to this side. Let's say, this is side without the running back, and they're going to be sliding over here to these 3. We make sure that tackle understands, well, if you vertical sit and get out of there, if that guy goes inside, okay, you're going to get help. If he's going inside and that guy's still there, well, he's going to run into him. But more than likely, if he's going inside, this guy is also looping into a gap, because they got to keep gap integrity. So we let our guys know where their help is going to come from, or if they have somebody that may could help them out in a situation. And that's just one of the things that we try to help them out with as well. To me, to kind of sum up everything, try to make sure your linemen have confidence. I think that's the number one thing in pass protection is, we get so caught up in, trying to make everybody look a certain way. If you got a 5'8", 205-pound guard, he's probably not going to look the same as the guys that play for the Dallas Cowboys. You can teach him technique, and you want to adjust things if he's getting beat or he's not having success with stuff. But the biggest thing to me, and the thing that I think we've done well within our program, is we put confidence into the offensive line. We take that fear of getting beat by the defensive lineman out of our offensive lineman by showing them film, by helping them understand, the launch point of the quarterback and, just the different things that could happen during a play. We help them understand why, really all that matters is either protecting your gap or making sure, you stay in the fight. And so giving them, confidence, I think, is a major advantage when they start to see different things out on the field.